Hey, good afternoon to you all. Really good to see you. Some of us have been in this space together as the festival and this very space under this tent before. So good to see you again. I've had the privilege of being at all of the Wild Goose experiences except one. I skipped it just to show I'm not a fundamentalist. So I'm very excited for this conversation. Rodney and I were just chatting. We've had lots of email exchanges over years, but have never been in the same space together and have never met. I'm very excited to be here with Kim Hill and Paulette Wooten, who, yes, thank you for that. Great timing. They're not only here, they're also Wooten Hill, a band together. And I have desperately asked them to follow around to all the sessions that I get to do and do music at them, because I think there should be music in more places than they can. So we'll talk about what we're going to talk about here in a moment. I just want to say thank you for being here at the festival. Thank you for caring. This conversation is going to be about, with all the things happening in the world. You know, the title was From Palestine to North Carolina Voting Booths and Everything Else. There are so many things that are not right.
Amen.
And there's so much care in all of our hearts. But what do we do? And I've been asking a deep question. What's on my plate? What is my thing to do? How do we figure out what any one of us should care about, or our collective or our community? How do we decipher? Because I'll tell you, I could move from issue to issue, not just as an organization that we run called Vote Common Good, but in my own life, or what I care about, or what I'm going to repost, or what I'm going to jump on, or what. I don't know how you all handle it, but I want to talk a bit about that. What's our thing, and what do we do when there are so many of the things, and human suffering is so high that many of us have recognized. So that's what we're going to talk about a bit, but Rodney will say a few words, and then Kim and Paulette are going to sing a song called, should I tell them what it's called? Called Mercy Now. They sent it to me after they released it, and I played it 100 times and cried 105 times. So I don't want to tell you how to feel about it, but you might feel similarly about it. So, and then we'll get into that conversation. So, Rodney, great to be in this with you, buddy.
Thank you so much. Doug, it's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation to join you on stage today. Great to be able to be with a legend like you, a legend of the Goose. I'm a new person at the Goose. Is that a Gosling?
Yeah, a Gosling.
A Gosling, yeah. All I know is that I have never felt so loved. I've never been able, in a place where I felt such warmth, such genuine goodness. So I'm just grateful to be able to be here and be part of this, and I'm looking forward to some music.
Oh, okay.
Amen.
Well, I'd love to say we wrote this song, but we didn't. Mary Gaucher wrote and recorded this about 20 years ago. It was nominated for a Grammy, and we've been singing it for years now, and every time we sing it, people will tell us that they never heard it before, and so we were like, well, I think we need to record it. So we did this summer. It's amazing that she wrote it 20 years ago, and then it's still this relevant. But this is called Mercy Now. Thanks for having us.
My father could use a little mercy now. The fruits of his labor fall and drop slowly on the ground. His work is almost over. It won't be long, it won't be around. Oh, I love my father. He could use some mercy now. And my brother could use a little mercy now. He's a stranger to freedom. He's shackled to his fears and his doubts. The pain that he lives in is almost more than living will allow.
could use some mercy now. My church and my country could use a little mercy now. As I sink into a poison pit, it's gonna take forever to climb out. They carry the weight of the faithful who follow them down. I love my church and country. They could use some mercy now.
Amen.
Every living thing could use a little mercy now.
Only the hand of grace can end the race towards another mushroom cloud.
People in power, they'll do anything to keep their crown.
I love life, but life itself could use some mercy now. We all could use a little mercy now. I know we don't deserve it, but we need it anyhow. Hang in the balance, dangle between hell and hallowed ground. Every single one of us could use some mercy now.
Amen.
Oh, every single one of us could use some mercy now. Sing it with us, every single one of us. Oh, every single one of us could use some mercy now.
Amen. Amen.
Well, if we had any wisdom at all, we would say thank you for being with us at this session. That wraps us up. Paulette Wooten and Kim Hill, Wooten Hill. If you want to look up the song, you look up Wooten Hill, you're going to hear some other originals from them. In another one in this session. And they're going to play at 4 o'clock, and they're going to play at tonight in around the main stage thing and a bunch of times tomorrow. So thank you for being here. Rodney, when we started conjuring up the idea of this session, with all the things going on in the world, what do faith people respond to? What were some of the first things that started coming to your mind about this? Like what struck you?
I think that we are in a precarious situation right now. And I think that we're at a point in time that has showed us the limitations of our traditional faith. We think of faith as answering particular questions. We think of faith as having the ability to respond in appropriate ways within the four sacred walls of the sanctuary. And we far too infrequently take our faith outside to encounter the world. I think Jesus is pretty cool, isn't he? We should introduce Jesus to the world sometimes, and maybe the world would like to know a little bit about what he talks about. And I think that this is one of these moments. I mentioned this a little bit this morning, that this is one of these moments where I feel it's incumbent upon us as the church to step up in a new way, to share our understanding of what God's love is anew, to bring a different understanding of our faith back into the intersections and the public squares, from the sanctuaries to the streets again. And I think that we need to awaken a different impulse in Americans. We need to, dare I say, I think we need to say that our faith is not something that should be put on with our Sunday outfits and then hung back up in our closet till Wednesday night Bible studies. Our faith is something that should influence us throughout our lives. The church is not a place where we go to worship. The church is who we are as we engage in actions in the world. And can I say something that is probably harder to say? The world is the way that it is because we failed to do our job as the church in the midst of the world. So how do we wake ourselves up? How do we re-engage with the world that we have left to its own devices? I'll stop with that, but I want to come back to some prophetic stuff later on.
Yeah, please do. That makes me think of something that, like a confession is coming up in my spirit here that I haven't thought of before, and that is, I got into Christianity without a Christian background, like as a 16-year-old kid that just found out about Jesus and got in and wasn't raised in church stuff. Is that anybody else's experience? Anybody have something like that, right? So I would go into churches with a really alivened kind of faith and look around and be like, what you all are doing doesn't seem to match the story that I'm reading, right? There's sort of the zeal of the newly converted and you feel it doesn't fit. And then a bunch of us started a movement of emerging church things back in the mid-1990s through the 2000s, and we were trying to reform churches. I was working in the evangelical spaces, trying to make churches more inclusive, trying to make them more justice-oriented, trying to do a whole bunch of things, and we tried to innovate. And so I'd go into churches or be in our church and try to think about like, hey, my faith feels like it's calling me to something more than what we're all doing here. And I frankly, hearing you say that makes me think, I kind of thought you all should have a faith more like mine, because I kind of get some stuff and want to share that. So I wrote a bunch of books and all that. And by the way, there are a bunch of them sitting over there that I give away for free now. You're welcome to take one. And it was a good contribution and it was fine and all that. But in the last 10 years, I have felt like I listened to people like you who said, be sure to also be looking outside the constructs of the faith and what good is it. And in the reality of the world, that faith that I had that was better than the faith inside the church was insufficient for the rest of what's going on in the world. And that's how I feel now. I don't know if any of the rest of you feel that way, but I could open my social media feeds right now and find half a dozen things for which my faith tells me almost nothing to do about them. Short of the generic, care more, love more, give more. But I don't know what to do. And I was in the kind of evangelicalism for a while, hanging around a bunch of people in the evangelical world that in the, I don't know, maybe the early 2000s, late 90s, would talk about being a human being and not a human doing. Anybody in that world, do you recognize that language at all? Like, it's not about what you do, it's about who you are. I spent a lot of, that was good enough. But then when you say, like, I want to do something, and all of us might have our own sort of wake up call to different things we want to do something about. I don't know what to do. I run an organization called Vote Common Good. Like, let's do a thing. Voting is insufficient for all the problems. It's just going to solve some of the problems. And there's one particular problem I really wish we had solved, but And then, chance comes every couple of years to do something about that. But every other day, it feels like I don't know what to do. So I feel like that faith that barely works inside the constructs of the Christian tradition is really failing me as I go out there. Do you ever feel that way, or are you more alive?
I think we all at times feel as though our faith is overwhelmed by the crises of the world. I think many times we feel as though, and I don't know that we should surrender to this feeling, but we should acknowledge it, right? We should acknowledge that sometimes we feel as though our faith is impotent to do anything about the dire circumstances of the world. When I think about it, though, I think our faith is actually precisely powerful enough to deal with it. But we need to reimagine it. And so I teach Hebrew Bible. I teach classes about this, and I'm in love with Walter Brueggemann, so if anybody, this notion of prophetic imagination really animates me. But one of the things that I think I've learned as I've wrestled with Bible is that in part, faith has a role to play in the world beyond just our personal salvation. There's a sociological factor to it. In essence, the world is challenged by our faith. And if we don't bear faithful witness to something different, then the world believes that what is all that can be. If we don't bear faithful witness to the ought of God, then the world is limited to the way things are. So at some points in time, we're supposed to just at least bear faithful witness. I look at all the prophets. The prophets were never successful. Jeremiah, Isaiah, the one successful one was Jonah, and he didn't want to be successful. But they were faithful, and they bore faithful witness to something different. And they provided the opportunity for change to exist and the possibility that a shift could occur. And I think that we need to do that right now. We need not to give up ground, and we need to do it. And let me just, a good friend of mine, a union organizer, Nick Unger, a Jewish guy, atheist, but he used to come up to me all the time. He's like, you and Dr. Barber and all you people, you're always out there protesting in the streets and everything, but maybe sometimes y'all need to go back and inspire the people in your church to think outside of their boxes and to know that they have the power to transform the world. And I think that sometimes we need to do that. We need to remind ourselves that God has given us the power to change the world, to make something better. I mean, I'm always animated by Jesus' prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Over there, right? No, in earth, as it is in heaven. We're about kingdom work. We're about transforming work. And we can never surrender to the is. We've got a powerful ought inside of us. And even if we aren't successful, we need to be faithful to bear witness to that. That's the first level, and that's not where I want to end this conversation.
No, I hear you very much. So I think about what's going on in Palestine right now, right? It's tragic, it's criminal, it's heartbreaking, it's genocide, my view. It is, I'm out of words of the atrociousness of it. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm spending 5 days in North Carolina. I don't know what to do about Palestine. I'm also been trained up now in a world in which I truly believe your thoughts and prayers are not enough. I'm also from Minneapolis. One of the kids in our church was grazed by a bullet 2 days ago in that school shooting. Feels very close. It was interesting when I saw people saying what I would normally say on social media about that, things about we have to do something about gun violence, because I work in that area. I was like, literally I said out loud, by myself with my phone, well, that feels a little too soon. And I made a post that was our hope and our love and our prayer are with the people, because I'm thinking about Casey and Matt, the parents, and Lachlan. So all of a sudden, like, prayer actually felt like a real thing. And that's so I wanted to bring that up today, because if I were to be like with a group of people and said, I think we should intensify the spiritual practices that I know as a Christian about Palestine, I would feel like we're wasting time, just to be blunt. I would be like, what are we doing? I don't know what to do about it. I barely know what to do about, our own Congress and what we're doing.
So the first thing I'd say is that we have to awaken people's consciousness as to what's going on in Palestine. I just got back from Palestine about a month and a half ago, and was not able to go to Gaza. Was stopped by the Israeli Defense Forces as we tried to go, but was close enough to feel the vibration of the American-made bombs going off just over the horizon. I was close enough to feel the shockwave go through my body and to realize that every one of those shockwaves, people were dying. I was most of my time in the West Bank, and what I experienced was what happens when a society no longer recognizes the dignity of human life. I don't think that we know the story in the U.S., and far too often we are limited to a story of American Christian Zionism that says we have to stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. I don't know how many memes I saw about that in the aftermath of October 7th, 2023. So we stand with Israel. And this sort of blind allegiance has made us ignorant to the actual circumstances on the ground. Now, October the 7th was horrible. I am not a supporter of Hamas, will never be. But October the 7th was, dare I say, predictable. If you saw the circumstances under which the Palestinian people are living, a pot that is boiling will eventually blow up if it's closed off. The pressure will continue to expand. And the people in Gaza have been living in a concentration camp. No access to their own borders, no decision about whether they have access to water, electricity, food, any such thing. Can you imagine what you would do if you were limited in this way, if your humanity was ignored for so long? I remember being terribly upset in the aftermath of October the 7th, and it was horrible, how could this happen? And someone reminded me, it's like, well, hold on now. What about Nat Turner? Mm-hmm. What about, Vesey? What about all of these people that were revolutionaries back in the day? Okay, I'm a nonviolent guy. I'm not really into the violent response. But the reality of human dignity denied for so long will eventually rear its head. People will eventually react. So that made me think a little bit differently. But being on the ground this time and realizing that the genocide that we see going on in Gaza, it's going on in the West Bank too. We just don't talk about it. People are being slaughtered day by day by Israeli settlers. And you think settlers, you think rugged people in their tents. These people are living in condominiums, beautiful condominiums with elaborate swimming pools, while the Palestinians who own the water and the wells are given access to water 40 days out of a year. You've got a new house, a swimming pool, and constant water, constant electricity, but the people from the land, we give you water and you got to put it on a little tank on your house 40 days out of the year. We see people living in communities that have been destroyed. They're living in rubble because the Israeli government said, well, we want to take your house and we're going to do an archaeological site here. We want to take your house because some settlers want to live here. One of the hardest things for me to do was to go into the city of Hebron. Never been to Hebron before. Hebron is a city of more than 250,000 Palestinians. It's a city in the West Bank, one of the bigger cities there that are there. When I walked through the downtown of the city of Hebron, I saw no people because 400 Israelis decided they wanted to live in Hebron. So the 250,000 Palestinians are now locked out of the center of their city. The shops have been welded shut, so they can't access it. Food is rotting on the shelves since 2023. The people are forced to go out the back windows of their homes to sneak out to get food. 250,000 people, because 400 people and, 1,000 troops decided that they're going to take the center of the town. So the first thing I say that we need to do, and this is from our Christian response, we have to, God created us all B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God.
Say that word again.
B'Tselem, in Tselem, image Elohim, of God. We're all created in the image of God. So the first thing I think that we can do is an ideological shift. We have to realize that there are no throwaway people in this world. Amen. That each and every one of us is a child of God, made in God's image, as Dr. King said, and therefore deserves to be respected as such. We've got to begin to shift this. And when we have conflicts like Israel and Palestine, I don't care if one's your ally or one's your enemy, why don't we work towards a just peace? Wouldn't a just peace be the best way to have a safe and secure Israel? Wouldn't a just peace be fair to those people who are of Palestinian extraction? Why don't we try to legitimate the validity of every human life and then utilize that as a basis from which we develop our foreign policies, a basis for which we develop our public policies, a basis for the way that we treat people in this world? So this is coming directly from our faith, a reimagination of the significance of human dignity and human worth.
Yeah. So the tradition of Christianity that I'm from, there's a particular passage in the book of James that says, if someone comes to your door and they're hungry and you say to them, stay warm and be well fed.
Exactly.
That's a violation of the faith. I feel like sometimes saying to people, you should know about the bad thing that's happening to other people in the world and think about them with dignity, feels like I'm saying, and then say to them, stay warm and be well fed. We're not doing anything. What do we? Is there ever a time where it's appropriate? I'm getting this question because I have a friend named Nadia Bowles-Weber, and Nadia has helped me a lot. And she's like, look, God cares about everything, and God has people caring about everything, but you don't have to be you don't have to be caring fully about every issue that God cares about. Okay, I don't know what to do with that. Do you feel like that fits?
Doesn't fit me, but yeah.
Okay, how do we... do you see what struggle I'm having between, like, I say I care, but basically I'm like, just treat everybody the same? Because in this session just minutes ago, there were other important issues, and we're going to talk about immigration, and we're going to talk about ICE raids, and like all the things. You just literally, either we just apply sort of everyone should be treated, everybody needs a little mercy now, right, from the song, feels insufficient. And maybe what you're saying is, I need to recalibrate so that doesn't feel insufficient.
No,
I don't know.
I don't want to stop you, because I'm not trying to suggest that being sensitive to it and being aware of the lack of people's dignity, the need to. This is a beginning point. This is the starting point, and I think that this is what we've lost. Okay, so I work in the issue of race. I run a program out of Charlotte called the Reimagining America Project, and the point is to say that the concept of race itself has done a serious disservice to us as human beings. Because what it did is it said that human beings are not equally valuable, that human beings can be arranged hierarchically, and that some of them are superior and others are inferior. And some are made to be served and others are made to serve. And once we introduce this germ into the human psyche, that there are some of us that are better and some of us that are worse, the germ continues to spin itself off in the midst of the world. Well, you're different because you are a Jew, or you are a Muslim, and you're less valuable than I am. You're different because you come from Mexico, and I come from South Texas, and we're actually cousins, but you're from the other side of the border. We come up with different ways of evaluating. So race, I think, is, and that's where I'll start, is the undermining of human equality. So the premise that I have for everything is we first have to realize the importance of every human life and the value, the equal value of human dignity. And from that basis, we can begin to do other things like work towards transformations in policy, like work towards shifts in action plans, like not just do mission work, but work for systemic transformation. One of my best friends is a guy named Joel Siegel, and I will always mention his name. I'll call him the Muse of Social Justice. Anybody ever hear of the Affordable Care Act? He got John Conyers to pass that. They worked 13 years in the Congress to get it done. And he did it because he realized that people weren't gaining access because some were black and some were brown and some were poor. They weren't gaining equal access. But one of the things he showed me is that, and you've worked with him too, Gary. He's worked with us on environmental justice as well. One of the things he showed me is that change doesn't just happen in society. Bills don't get passed just by these people up there in Congress. It's people like us that write these things down, that dream of what they can be, that take them out and propose them, and that we as citizens, and can I be American for a second?
I would love it.
We as citizens in a democracy have a moral responsibility to determine what goes on in our government. And if we fail in our moral responsibility, then we get that what the hell we got going on in Washington right now. We have to take responsibility for the ways that we shape our government. And if we want change to take place, then we got to plan that change out. What are the bills we want to see passed? What is the justice? So I'm going to start working. This is my thing, and I pray that you all will join me on it. I want love as public policy.
Yes.
I want love as the litmus test for any bill that we pass. I want love as the litmus test for our foreign policy with other countries. If we start from a significant core value like that, and then work towards it, I think we have the possibility.
Okay, can I jump in there for a minute and just give a little plug? At Vote Common Good, we work with candidates, and one of the categories we have is that candidates can apply to be a candidate for common good. It's a reverse endorsement, like Moms Demand Action, where the candidate endorses the common good commitment, and it's based on the Love in Politics pledge. It is a pledge that they take. They will introduce love as the framework by which policy will be made. Great. And it's the difference between the greater good and the common good. I'm not bickering with other people's words, but when someone says the greater good, you get to have a gradation. Exactly. When you talk about the common good, it's a different word. So making love the thing. What's striking me, Rodney, hearing you speak of this, I think I have diminished the thing, when you say human dignity in all, I think I'm like, oh, that's like saying stay warm and be well fed. And you're like, no. Stay there longer. Like, I think maybe I've convinced myself that I've already done that, or that's easy enough to do. And I think you're accidentally saying to me, maybe I haven't done that anywhere near enough.
It's not. And
you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I hear you. But it's not you, Doug. It's not me. It's that we as faith community have not fully lived into this significant Grundlage, this significant grounding principle of our faith. We have not lived into this. If we, it's sort of interesting that in the first chapter of the first book of the Bible, Genesis chapter, 1, 26 and 27, we have this incredible piece that God says you're created in God's image, that there's some sort of divine investiture that lifts us up here, and that this is supposed to govern our relationships. And we see it creeping in throughout Scripture over and over again. I could go on to a long biblical analysis. You probably don't want me to do that, do you?
Can you do a short biblical analysis?
Well, maybe a little bit. All right, so Genesis chapter 18, the story of Abram and the Yahweh and the two angels come to him. Do you remember this? What does Abram do? He runs out to them. He bows before them. He come to my house. Let me shelter you. Whatever. What is he doing? He's showing hospitality. Oh, that's nice. That's what we do at IHOP. No, this is the manifestation of justice. A traveler in the ancient world is at risk. They can't support and sustain themselves. They are vulnerable. And if no one takes them in, if no one recognizes their human dignity, then they will die. There's no place to get water. There's no place to get food. There's no place to stay that's safe and sheltered. So he takes them in, and this becomes a marker. Genesis chapter 19, Lot, when he sees the two melachim, the two angels that come to him, what does he do? Same thing that his uncle Abram does. Goes to them, bows to them, prostrates to them, and then begs them to come to the house. Genesis 19 later on, the Sodomite story. What do the people of Sodom do? They see the strangers, they want to know them. Oh, it's homosexuality. No, has nothing to do with homosexuality. It's gang rape.
Yeah,
it's the abuse of the vulnerable. It's the problem that we see there. Judges chapter 19, the Levite and the concubine come into the town of Gibeah. They come into town of Gibeah, and in this instance, they say, oh, well, this is the same thing. The men want to know the men rape a woman there, and then God destroys the city there. So it's not homosexuality that's at stake. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 49 says, this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her sisters had incredible wealth, lived in prosperous ease, but they did not aid the poor and needy. They allowed people to go without dignity and to suffer in this way, and therefore God destroyed them. And Matthew chapter 25, this story. And the reason I lifted up the Genesis 18, 19, 2:19 passages, the Judges 19, is to show something. In all of those instances, who is the guest that comes into the town? God, God's representatives to Melachim or angels, God's representative, a Levite. A good friend of mine, Polish woman, says that they have a proverb, guest in house, God in house. You treat the vulnerable one that's in your midst as though you're treating God's self. And then, of course, Matthew 25, you can see that pretty clearly over and over again. What you've done for the hungry, the thirsty, the naked, the stranger, the incarcerated, and the sick is what you do to me. God, over and over again, is reminding you the way that we treat those we imagine to be least, those that we don't invest with dignity, is the way that we treat God. And then finally, the wonderful passage in 1 John chapter 4, 20 and 21. You can't say that you love your unseen God unless you love your sister or brother whom you have seen. Yeah. And I'll say it a bit differently. Whose needs you have not cared for. You can't say you love God or care for God's needs. So I say all of that to say recovering dignity is not a simple thing. It's not just a simple, the need for the church to try to re-inspire this sense of dignity is a grounding principle that's necessary for making that fundamental shift. And thank you so much for the pledge that you mentioned.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Can you say something about the manifestation and problem and threat of Christian nationalism, where certain Christians want to take their faith and make it public policy? And I don't think you want that.
No, I know.
But how do you, we, us, do a full thing and manifest that's not that? How do we walk that walk?
I think Christian nationalism, I always imagine it to be a manifestation of power over. Mm-hmm. I think legitimate Christian expression is power with. How do we share power? How do we work through love? Christian nationalism is expressed as power over, controlling others. whereas a legitimate Christian expression, I think, is power in with. So if I were to think about how do we take Christian principles into the public square, the idea is not for me to bring my personal morality on someone else. The idea is, how do I make sure that I respect the divinity that persists in other people? And I think that as an expression of human valorization as opposed to human judgment, Christianity works quite well in the public square. And I'm sorry, Christianity works well, as does Islam, as does Judaism, as does Baha'i, as does Quakerism, as does UU. I think our faith traditions as a whole,
They point to a truth.
they point
don't
to a
carry
different
it.
truth.
Oh, solely.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anybody else feeling any of this tension? Anybody want to say something? We sit in a room like this full of such beauty and grace and godness. Somebody have a thing you'd like to say? Please, say one thing.
I just remember in the 80s, there was an article about the naked public square and how we privatized our religion. And I've been thinking a lot about, unless Palestine is free, none of us is free. And that the concept of chosenness over against that. I'd just like to hear what you would say to that, because to me, it's all interconnected.
Thank you.
Me or Doug?
You.
Okay, so let me start off by saying, why don't we do something? Why don't we covenant as faith community right now to do something that might begin to shift the way that we view Palestine? How's that?
Okay.
Why don't we try to make sure that we bring in someone that will share with us Palestinian stories? Let's hear from actual Palestinian people what their lives are like, what their suffering is like, what their struggles are like. Why don't we make a point of engaging with a project that's there? So I just went as a delegate of the Sabeel Liberation Theology, Palestinian Liberation Theology Group. They've got a great organization in the United States called AFASNA, Friends of Sabeel North America. We could all join that and learn about what's going on, be able to participate. Why don't we all covenant to give a little bit of money to help work with the larger effort to do something? Amen?
That's great. Can people get
And
that
then-
information from you?
You can get it from me, certainly. And I will definitely connect you with FOSNA, but you can look it up online too. FOSNA, FOSNA, Friends of Sabeel North America. And then why don't we covenant, each of us, to write a letter to our senator, our congresspeople, and say, we demand that you change the way that you treat the situation in Israel-Palestine. This is not anti-Semitic to say that we can no longer give unfettered access to weapons of mass destruction to a nation that has shown it will use them against non-combatant civilians. This is, no matter who you are, this is wrong. And we should not be a part of this. And the fact that we sit silently as congregations and don't do anything about that, this is a democracy. That's our responsibility.
It's wonderful.
So-
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Could those are a few things to start with.
Could we finish with a couple of songs? Wooten Hill and then Ken Medium. By the way, if you don't know Ken Medium, he works in this stage much of the festival.
Thank you, Ken.
Listens to what people say and then crafts a response to it. So, Ken, thank you for that work. And maybe you could even include what Kim and Paulette are going to do.
Well, as you guys were talking, we felt like we should switch the song we were going to sing and teach you this really simple chorus that we wrote a few years ago. It goes like this. Let it be love, we shout from the mountain high. Let it be hope, we show along the way. Let it be light, we shine. Let it be light, we shine to those lost at sea, to those lost lost at sea. Let it be love, let it be love that leads us home. Let's take it up. Maybe that was too low. Let it be love, we shout from the mountain high. Let it be hope, we show along the way. Light we shine. Let it be light, we shine. Those lost, to those lost, lost at sea. Let it be love, let it be love that leads us home. Let it be love, let it be love that leads us home. Let it be love. Great singing.
We need that as a protest song. Would you let me know? You got it? I didn't change the pedal or anything.
Kim and Paula, Doug and Ron, you've said everything we need to hear. We don't need to keep on talking. We just need to do it, and we'll start right here. I may never get to Gaza. Jesus never got to Rome. But this I know, sure as I know my name, I got to do this thing called love and start it right at home. So Kim and Paula, Doug and Rodney, help me now. A pilgrim feeling alone. Show me this. I've got sisters and brothers who'll join with me, starting love here at home. Maybe it's a table set for somebody homeless. Maybe it's a letter someone at the stupid thing going on in D.C. I don't know just exactly what it's going to mean, but we all need some mercy. And that need begins with me. Oh,